Hey, this is Joe Hubbard from JoeHubbardBassVideos.com coming at you today with another bass lesson. And this is the second lesson in my parallel positional chord study system. Today's lesson is on the dominant 7th chord, so let's get busy. As a review, let's go back and define all of the 5 positions from the dominant 7th chord. If we start on C dominant 7th chord and we go down to our lowest position, it starts on 3 second variations. So I'm here. I then move up to form 5. It then moves up to flat 7. It then moves up to the root position. It then goes up to 3rd, 1st variation. And then it goes up to 3 second variation. Okay, go back and review, and when you come back, we're going to get into this new concept, this parallel positional concept to the dominant 7th chord. What we're going to do is we're going to play all the dominant 7th chords from the different keys within each singular position, and then we're going to move up incrementally up our fretboard to the next position and then play all the keys from there. That way we're going to know how to transition from one dominant 7th chord to another with a lot more authority and command. So if I start here in my first position and I go through all the keys, I'm going to have C7 and it's going to be 3 second variation. Then I go to F and that's from the root position. Then I go to B flat and that's form 5. Then I go to E flat 7 and that's 3 1st variation. Then I go to A flat 7 and that's flat 7. Then I go to D flat 7 and I'm at 3 second variation. Then I'm at F sharp 7 and I'm at the root position. Then I'm at B7 and I'm on form 5. Then I'm on E7 and I'm 3 1st variation. Then I'm on A7 and I'm on flat 7. Then I'm on D7 and that's 3 second variation. And then I'm on G7 and that's the root position. Okay, so that brings us through the cycle of 4ths and 5ths, and I'm now back to C in the 2nd position, and that starts me on form 5. Now you practice that position, come back, and I'll give you some more. Position 2, C7 starts at form 5. Then it goes to F7, and that's 3 1st variation. Then it goes to B flat 7 and that's flat 7. Then it goes to E flat 7 and that's 3 second variation. Then it goes to A flat 7 and that's the root position. Then it goes to D flat 7 and that's form 5. Then it goes to F sharp 7 and that's 3 1st variation. Then it goes to B7 and that's flat 7. Then it goes to E7 and that's 3 second variation. A7, and that's from the root position. Now I'm on D7, and that's form 5. And that leads me to G7, 3, first variation. Okay, now that's taken me right the way through the cycle. I'm back to the key of C now. You practice, come back, and I'll give you some more. From position 3, where it's C dominant 7th, and it starts from form flat 7. We go to F, and that's 3, second variation. It goes to B flat 7, and that's the root. That moves to E flat 7, and this is form 5. Then we're at A flat 7, and it's 3, first variation. Then it goes to D flat 7, and this is flat 7. Then it goes to F sharp 7, and this is 3, second variation. Then it goes to B7, this is the root position. Then it goes to E7, this is 5. Then it goes to A7, this is 3, first variation. Then it goes to D7, which is form flat 7. Then it goes to G7, which is 3, second variation. And that takes me right the way through the cycle again. I'm back to the key of C, starting on my root position. You go practice. Position 4 starts at C7 from the root position. I then go to form 5, F7. This takes us to B flat 7, and this is 3, first variation. Then I go to E flat 7, and this is form flat 7. Then I go to A flat 7, and this is 3, second variation. Then I go to D flat 7, and this is the root position. Then I go to F sharp 7, this is form 5. Then I go to B7, this is 3, first variation. Then E7 is flat 7. Then A7 is 3, second variation. Then I'm at D7, root position. And that brings me to G7, which is form 5. Okay, again, we've gone through the cycle. We're back to the key of C now, which is from the 3, first variation. Now we're at form 5. We're starting at C7, and this is 3, first variation. We then go to F7, which is flat 7. I then go to B flat 7, which is 3, second variation. I'm then at E flat 7, which is the root position. I then go to A flat 7, which is form 5. That takes me to D flat 7, which is 3 first variation. Then I'm at F sharp 7, and this is flat 7. Then I'm at B7, and this is 3 second variation. I'm then at E7, and this is the root position. Then I'm at A7 from form 5. Then I'm at D7 from 3 first variation. And then I'm back to G7, and this is flat 7. Now moved all the way up to the first position again, but now it's up the octave. So again, remember the value of this is that in our first position we're going to have some open string fingerings. When we play that same position closed, it's going to be different, so it's worth evaluating and analyzing those differences. So if I go up here and start in the first position, it's going to be form 3, second variation. I then go to F7, and that is the root position. The next chord is B flat 7, and this is going to be form 5. We then go to E flat 7, which is 3 first variation. We then go to A flat 7, which is flat 7. This brings me to D flat 7, which is 3 second variation. Then I'm at F sharp from the root position. I'm now at B7, and this is form 5. And then I'm at E7, and this is 3 first variation. That takes me to A7, which is flat 7. Then I'm at D7, and this is 3 second variation. And now I'm at G7, and this is the root position. And now I've moved again through the cycle. I'm now back to C, so you go practice. Many concepts that I want to share with you that has this principle built into it is the idea of transitioning from one chord quality to a completely different chord quality while in the same position. So far, we've taken the same chord quality and moved it through the different keys in each position. Like we've taken the minor 7th chords in lesson 1. This lesson we've taken the dominant 7th chords, and we've then moved those in a singular position all across our fretboard. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a minor 7th chord and we're going to transition to a dominant 7th. The most common progression from Western music, which is a 2-5 harmonic progression, or a 2 minor 7 followed by a 5-7. If we apply this to the key of C, we have D minor 7 followed by G7. What we're going to do is play this in each individual position and then move up the fingerboard. So if I started in my first position, I've got D minor 7 starts on flat 3. I then in the same position move to G7, which starts on flat 7. I then move this up to the next position. So if my D minor 7 started on flat 3, the next position is going to be 5, first variation. So I'm here. And then the position for the G7 is going to be the root position. move up the D minor 7 again, and I have 5 second variation. I move to the G7, and that gives me 3 first variation. I then move up to the D minor 7 again, and I have flat 7. Then to the G7, I have 3 second variation. We then move up to D minor 7, a position, and we have the root position. And then G7, I've got form 5. Then move that up, and we're now back to our starting position. I'm at D minor 7 on flat 3. And then over the G7, I'm on flat 7. Okay, now you go practice these individual positions, transitioning from the 2 minor 7th chord to the 5-7. And in the key of C, that would be D minor 7 to G7. What I'm going to do now is play this exercise over a backing track. Following that, you'll be able to play along with this backing track as well, just like you did on the previous lesson. I think it's important to mention the importance of how you use external devices such as backing tracks, play-alongs, sequencers, drum machines, and metronomes. I like to apply what I call the 95-5 principle. That means that proportionally speaking, I'm going to practice only 5% of my overall practice time from the micro to the macro with using these external devices. This leaves me 95% to really just focus in and concentrate and really internalize all of the detail of every single concept that I'm trying to learn. This is all you need to do with these external devices. And then, of course, go and play with real people. Many people don't do that these days. It doesn't seem to be such a fashion to actually play with real musicians, but you need to do that. That needs to be a big part of what you do. But proportionally speaking, as far as practice, don't spend all of your time preparing for the gig by playing with a backing track. It doesn't work. It's much better to do it the other way. This is the way athletes train. They take the big picture, which is the game they play, and they break it down into smaller units. And that way, they're able to isolate and really focus in on the detail that they're trying to learn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this backing track. After that, you can play along with your backing track that's on the video. You can stop it, start it, keep going through it as many times as you like, and then come back and I'll give you some more stuff after that. back, and I hope you had a lot of fun playing with that backing track. Now we're nearly done with today's lesson, but before we go, let's just outline a few objectives and outcomes to figure out what we've actually learned in today's lesson. So what we've gone through is we've gone through learning all of the dominant 7th chord qualities in every key and playing them in each singular position up the fretboard. What we've also taken a look at in depth is looking at transitioning from the minor 7th chord quality to the dominant 7th, and this makes up one of the most common progressions in Western music called the 2 minor 7 to 5/7 progression. And we did that in each individual position. Now, we only did that in one key, and what I'd really like you to do is to take that further and at least do it in 3 different keys. All it means is that you're reshuffling the positions a little bit. I'm sure that you'll see exactly how that works from taking the information that you learned in the previous course, the pentapositional stuff, and then just working it within here. Because if you think of that, the pentapositional course, we just took one chord and we played it in 5 positions. Now here what we're doing is starting to take 2 chords and playing them in 5 positions and more. And this is, when we start to put this into a context, this takes this to a whole new exciting level. So I really want you to work hard on this. If you can do this in every key, guys, you'll just be smoking, okay? If you don't do it in every key, do it at least in about 3 or 4 keys, okay? So make sure you get that going. So that just about completes what we're talking about today. So as always, practice smart, play creatively, work hard, and I'll see you next week for lesson 3. Take care.